Sometimes, one single moment can heal years of silence. In Heartland, Season 19, Episode 1, that moment arrives, quiet, breathtaking, and full of emotion. The camera doesn't need grand gestures or loud words. It simply lets us feel it. The air around Heartland Ranch seems softer, the sky a little warmer, and the world feels like it's holding its breath. Because deep down, every fan knows this isn't just another episode. It's the return of something we all thought was gone forever. The episode begins with a kind of peace that almost feels unreal. Morning light spreads across the Heartland Ranch, touching the fields with gold. Horses graze lazily, and there's that familiar hum of life.com, steady and deeply comforting. Amy steps out of the house, a mug of coffee in her hand, watching the world she's built slowly come alive. Her expression tells a story of quiet strength. She's been through storms, heartbreak, and lonely nights, but somehow, she's still standing, steady like the land she loves. As she walks toward the stables, the sound of the wind and horses fills the silence. There's no music yet, just the natural rhythm of Heartland, a reminder that life moves on, even when we think it shouldn't. We see her brush her horse, her movements slow and thoughtful. The scene isn't just about her daily routine, it's about healing. Each touch of her hand, each breath she takes, carries years of memory, moments shared with Ty, laughter once echoing in this same barn, and dreams that never truly left. Meanwhile, the rest of the family begins their day. Jack tends to the fences, his weathered face showing both wisdom and weariness. Lou prepares for a town meeting, her usual mix of energy and worry painting her every move. Even Tim, usually stubborn and restless, seems more grounded, helping with chores without complaint. It feels like everyone has grown into their pain, not escaping it, but learning to live with it. There's a small detail that might go unnoticed, an old photo frame on the kitchen counter. It's Amy and Ty, smiling, sun in their eyes, frozen in a perfect memory. The camera lingers on it for a few seconds longer than usual. No words are needed. That single image says everything. As the episode builds, we sense something in the air. The pacing slows, the colors grow softer, and even the wind seems to whisper familiar echoes. Amy pauses while feeding her horse, her eyes catching something in the distance. For a heartbeat, she looks uncertain, like she's seeing a shadow of the past. Then she blinks, and it's gone. But that tiny moment plants a feeling in the viewer's chest. Something's coming. It's not loud or dramatic. It's gentle, emotional, and deeply human. The kind of storytelling Heartland has always done best, finding power in simplicity. The show doesn't rush to reveal. Instead, it lets the emotion grow slowly, like dawn breaking over the hills. Every shot feels like a memory, Ty's voice echoing softly in Amy's heart, their shared laughter still alive somewhere in the air. And as the scene fades, Amy turns back toward the house, her face calm but her eyes distant. There's something unsaid there, a quiet sense of hope she's afraid to admit. The music swells softly, carrying that emotion straight to the audience. We realize this episode isn't about moving on. It's about reconnecting with what was never truly lost. This first act sets the tone for everything that follows, a story about memory, love, and the small ways the past continues to reach out. Because even though Ty may have been gone, his presence still lives in every corner of Heartland, waiting for the right moment to return. The stillness of Heartland slowly begins to change. It starts with something small, a feeling, almost invisible, yet impossible to ignore. The light seems different, warmer. The wind carries a strange calm, the kind that makes you stop whatever you're doing just to listen. Amy senses it first. She's in the barn, brushing Spartan's mane, her movements steady but thoughtful. Then, suddenly, the horse lifts his head, ears turning sharply toward the open door, as if he's seen someone outside. Amy freezes. Her breath catches for a moment, and she whispers softly, "What is it, boy?" But there's no answer, only silence, deep and familiar. That's how Heartland works, it's magic. It doesn't shout, it lets emotion speak through nature, through the land and the living things that fill it. Amy steps outside, her boots crunching softly against the gravel. The sky above the ranch is pale blue, painted with the soft haze of early spring. For a second, everything feels too quiet, the kind of quiet that usually means something's about to happen. Her eyes move across the horizon, searching, waiting, hoping. And in that pause, we see it, a flicker of something more than memory. As she stands there, the camera shifts to the ranch house, where Jack is sitting on the porch, carving a small piece of wood. His hands move slowly, steady from years of habit. He looks up, noticing Amy's stillness, and for a moment, his expression softens. Jack has always been the emotional anchor of this family, the man who understands without needing to ask. He watches her, understanding exactly what she's feeling. You can feel it too, can't you? He murmurs quietly, though no one is there to hear him. Inside, Lou is on a call. Her voice filled with the usual mix of confidence and exhaustion, but even she pauses when she glances out the window, eyes narrowing slightly as if something caught her attention. For a brief second, the whole ranch feels suspended, like time has slowed down, allowing the past to seep quietly back in. Later that day, Amy finds herself in the old pasture, the one she and Ty used to ride through. The grass moves softly in the breeze, and the fence creaks faintly, a sound she's heard 1,000 times, but this time it feels different, like a whisper from long ago. She remembers their laughter, their small arguments, the way Ty used to look at her when words weren't enough. Each memory comes alive in flashes, painted gently across the landscape. She kneels down, running her fingers through the grass. And there's that ache again, the one that never truly left. Then something happens, something quiet but powerful. A white feather floats down from the sky, landing right beside her hand. It's such a simple thing, almost ordinary, but to Amy, it means everything. The show doesn't explain it. It doesn't have to. The camera lingers just long enough for viewers to feel what she feels. That Ty is close. Maybe not in body, but in spirit, in memory, in love that refuses to fade. Amy smiles faintly, her eyes glistening with tears she doesn't let fall. That night, the tone shifts again. The ranch glows under the light of the setting sun, the world wrapped in golden shadow. Amy walks through the kitchen, stopping by that same photo frame we saw earlier. She traces her fingers over Ty's face, her voice trembling as she whispers, "I still talk to you, you know." It's a confession meant for no one, yet it carries the weight of years. The audience feels it too, that longing, that quiet hope that maybe, somehow, love can cross even the deepest distance. As she turns off the light and steps outside, the stars stretch endlessly above her. She looks up, eyes full of both pain and peace. The night air feels alive, carrying the faint sound of horses in the distance. She closes her eyes and takes a deep breath, and for a brief, fleeting moment, she feels something, the warmth of a hand on her shoulder, the echo of Ty's voice saying her name, the way only he could. When she opens her eyes, she's alone again. But this time, she doesn't feel empty. She feels surrounded by memories, by presence, by love that time couldn't erase. Back in the house, Jack watches her from the porch. He knows that look, that quiet mix of sorrow and understanding. He doesn't interrupt, doesn't say a word. He just lets her have that moment. Because in Heartland, healing isn't loud. It's found in these small silences, where the past reaches out like sunlight through clouds. This second section of the story transforms Heartland Ranch into something sacred, a bridge between what was and what remains. The signs of Ty's presence aren't meant to prove anything. They're meant to remind everyone, including the viewers, that love doesn't vanish when someone's gone. It lingers, like a shadow of warmth, like the echo of laughter carried by the wind. And as the camera fades into the night, we know this isn't just a story about grief, it's about the beautiful ways the heart learns to remember. The next morning arrives with a quiet glow. Dawn spills over the foothills, soft and golden, washing the ranch in light that feels almost unreal. It's the kind of morning that carries something sacred, like the world itself is holding a secret. Amy wakes early, long before anyone else, drawn outside by a feeling she can't explain. There's a stillness in her heart, mixed with an ache she's learned to live with. She doesn't know why, but today feels different. She walks toward the fields. The air crisp and sweet with the scent of dew. The horses are restless, not fearful, just alert, as if they're sensing something before she does. Spartan neighs softly, pawing the ground, his eyes fixed on the path leading down to the river. Amy follows his gaze. There's nothing there, only the faint morning mist rising above the water, glowing silver in the light. But her heart starts to race anyway. She whispers to herself, almost as if afraid of her own hope, "No, it can't be." Then, in that silence, she hears it, footsteps. Soft, measured, familiar. Her breath catches. She turns slowly, and there he is, Ty, standing a few yards away, his figure wrapped in the golden haze of dawn. He doesn't say a word. He just looks at her, the way he always did, with that calm, steady warmth that made the whole world feel safe. For a second, time stops. Everything, the wind, the birds, even her heartbeat, seems to fade into nothing but this moment. Amy's eyes fill instantly. She doesn't run toward him, doesn't speak. She simply stands there, trembling, as tears slide down her cheeks. Ty takes a slow step forward, his expression soft, filled with love and peace. "You're still here," she whispers, her voice barely audible. He smiles, that same smile that once lit up her life. "I never really left," he says quietly. The sound of his voice is exactly as she remembers, calm, deep, and full of warmth. The scene doesn't play like a fantasy. It feels real, not as a ghostly vision, but as something deeply spiritual, something born from love that never truly ended. The air between them shimmers with light, and when Amy reaches out, their hands almost meet. Almost. The camera focuses on her fingertips trembling in the air, brushing against nothing but feeling everything. Ty steps closer, his gaze locked on hers. "You've done so well," he says softly. "You kept the promise, to live, to love, to keep going." Amy shakes her head, her voice breaking. "I tried, Ty, but some days it felt like half of me was gone." He smiles again, gently, like he always used to when words weren't enough. "You were never half," he says. "You were always whole. You just forgot." That line lingers, simple, but powerful. It's the kind of writing Heartland is known for. Words that sound small but carry a lifetime of meaning. The sunlight grows stronger, wrapping them both in gold. Amy's tears turn into a smile, soft, trembling, full of gratitude. "I miss you every day," she whispers. Ty nods. "That's how I know you loved me, right?" There's a pause, and then he adds, "But it's time to let me be where I belong. And for you to live where you are." His words aren't sad. They're peaceful, like a gentle farewell that feels more like a blessing. As the light around him grows brighter, Ty takes one last look at her. "You'll always find me here," he says, placing a hand over his heart. "Every time you ride, every time you laugh, every time you love." Amy closes her eyes, and when she opens them, he's gone. The field is empty, the mist lifting, the world silent again. But this time, she doesn't cry. Instead, she smiles, through her tears, the kind of smile that comes when the heart finally understands what the mind never could, that love never truly dies. She turns back toward the ranch, walking slowly, her steps steady, her spirit lighter. The camera follows her, the soft sound of music swelling in the background, that familiar Heartland melody that always plays during the show's most emotional moments. The light catches her hair, her eyes, the peaceful strength in her face. It's as if she's carrying Ty with her, not as a ghost, but as part of her, in every heartbeat, every breath, every sunrise. Back at the house, Jack notices her walking in. There's something different about her, something serene. "You okay, Amy?" he asks, setting down his coffee cup. She looks at him, and for the first time in a long while, her voice doesn't tremble when she says, "Yeah, Grandpa, I really am." Jack doesn't ask more. He just nods, a knowing smile tugging at his lips. Lou and Katie join in, their morning chatter filling the room. Life goes on, ordinary and beautiful. But Amy's eyes drift once more toward the window, where the sunlight hits just right, and for a heartbeat. She could swear she sees him, Ty, standing near the fence, smiling before fading into the light. That's how Heartland delivers its reunion, not with fanfare or fantasy, but with emotion so pure it feels real. It's not about bringing Ty back in body, but about showing how love remains, how every goodbye in Heartland is really just a promise to meet again, somewhere between the wind and the dawn. The sun rises higher over Heartland, spilling warmth across the valley as if nature itself knows something has changed. The world looks the same, the horses grazing, the wind brushing through the tall grass, the smell of earth and hay drifting through the air, but something unseen feels lighter, the kind of lightness that only comes after a storm has finally passed. Amy walks through the yard with calm steps, no longer searching for what's missing, but quietly carrying what she's found, peace. Inside the house, breakfast chatter fills the kitchen. Lou is fussing over coffee and papers, Katie is talking about school, and Jack is laughing softly at something Tim said. It's an ordinary morning, yet it feels sacred. The family hasn't changed their routine, but their energy is different, softer, closer, more alive. Amy joins them at the table, her hair still slightly tousled from the morning wind. She sits, listens, and smiles, really smiles, a kind of expression that hasn't touched her face in a long time. Jack glances at her, noticing the quiet glow she carries. "You look peaceful," he says simply. Amy nods, her eyes full of meaning. "I saw him," she whispers. The table goes silent. Lou looks at her, half in disbelief, half in hope. "You mean, Ty?" Amy nods again, her smile trembling but sure. Not the way we used to see him, she adds. But I felt him. I heard him. It was real. No one questions it. They all just listen. Because in Heartland, faith isn't about what you can prove, it's about what you can feel. Tim clears his throat, trying to hide his emotion. Well, he says gruffly, I always knew that boy had a way of showing up when you least expected him. Jack chuckles quietly, but his eyes glisten. He never really left, Jack says softly. None of them ever do. They stay with us in the things we love, in the work we do, in the people we become. Amy's gaze drifts to the window, where sunlight dances on the fields. She whispers, he told me to live. It's not a grand statement, but it carries a lifetime's worth of weight. Lou reaches over, squeezing her hand. Then that's what you'll do, she says. That's what he'd want. The family doesn't talk about it more, they don't need to. The silence that follows isn't empty. It's full of understanding. Later, Amy goes to the barn again. She opens the doors wide, letting the sunlight flood in. Spartan nudges her gently, his dark eyes calm and wise. She laughs softly and strokes his mane. He'd like this light, she says quietly. The camera pans slowly across the barn, the tools, the saddles, the photo of Ty hanging near the tack room, all ordinary things, yet each glowing with quiet memory. This place, once heavy with grief, now feels sacred again. A home not haunted by loss, but filled with love that endures. Outside, she saddles Spartan and mounts him with the kind of ease that speaks of years of trust. As they ride across the fields, the landscape stretches wide and endless. The air is cool, the wind strong, and for the first time in so long, Amy feels completely alive. She doesn't look back. She doesn't have to. The ranch behind her, the family within it. The memories surrounding her, they all move with her. Not as burdens but as blessings. The music rises, that soft, familiar Heartland theme, and over it, Amy's voice carries in gentle narration. We lose people we love, but we don't lose their love. It stays in our hearts, in our memories, in the choices we make every day. Ty once told me that home isn't a place, it's the feeling you get when you know you're where you belong. And he was right. Because even when someone's gone, their love keeps us home. As she rides, the camera cuts between scenes of the family. Jack repairing the fence, his hands steady and sure. Lou planting flowers near the porch, her daughter helping beside her. Tim loading hay with a rare smile. Each of them is healing in their own way, finding meaning again in simple acts. It's not about forgetting, it's about honoring. About living in a way that would make Ty proud. The episode draws to a close as the sun sets behind the Rockies, turning the sky into fire and gold. Amy stops her horse at the top of a hill, looking down at the ranch. The wind lifts her hair, and for a moment, she closes her eyes. The sound of the wind shifts, carrying a faint, familiar voice, Ty's voice, saying, "You did good, Amy." Her lips curve into a quiet smile. The camera holds on her face for a long beat before fading to the wide shot of Heartland glowing under the fading light. No tears, no dramatic farewell, just peace. The kind of peace that feels earned. The screen fades to black as Amy's final words echo softly. Some people never really leave. They just become part of the land, part of the love, part of us. And that's how Heartland ends its opening chapter of season 19, not with sadness, but with a promise. A promise that family, love, and hope will always find their way home. It's not just an episode, it's a message. A reminder that even after loss, life has a way of mending itself, because in Heartland, every ending is just another beautiful beginning.